welcome into episode 35 of the Level Flight Podcast. And we've got a full crew. Milestone episode. We needed everyone here. How y'all doing?
Good. I will say that a little awkward here.
Bringing the energy.
We're all really
Let's
tired. It's been a lot's been going on with this team, with the team that Brian's got a jersey of in the background. So we're all really tired because we've been working really hard. So hopefully you've all seen our hard work.
Brian, how we doing?
I mean, seconded. But like, yeah, it's rewarding, but no, I don't sleep very often anymore.
All right, well, let's dive into that because we wanted to start with summer sports, so let's do it. Let's talk about the Gold Eyes first. They are struggling, to say the least. It's
been tough.
It has been tough. I'm not sure what their current record is exactly.
They are 13-22 as of right now.
Okay. They're in the middle of a 6-game homestand. Baseball games are still super fun to go to. Like, Gold Eyes games, the atmosphere is still amazing. Brian and I, Brian more so, but we put together a production show. We try our hardest. It's great. It's Gold Eyes games. There's nothing like it. So, they're struggling, but again, it's still so much fun to be at the ballpark. So,
yeah, right now we're seeing just a lot of what feels to be almost like growing pains just later in the season than we would hope. So yeah, as of right now, it's they're trying to fend off the sweep in their home series right now against Lincoln. So they go again tonight. I guess last night when you're hearing this. So I'm hoping that next time we're talking about a win, because this last stretch here has been really rough. So they're hoping to rebound here, and there's a lot of really talented guys that when they get in their groove, they're on. So we're still looking at guys like Dason Cruz, who's leading the league in batting average. He's right up there, tied for the league in hits. He's a true rookie. So you're watching guys like that. You got the vets like Max Murphy, who won the Player of the Year last year. He's coming around. He's looking more like himself. So there's still a lot to like about this team. It's just they're not catching some of the breaks that you would hope. But they're going to get a boost later this week. 3 Canadian pitchers are coming back from the Pan Am Games qualifiers. Landon Barassa, Travis Seabrook, and Brandon Markland. So that'll be a nice little boost to both bullpen and rotation. Because Barassa and Seabrook were in the rotation before they left. Markland was a key part of that bullpen that has been very thin as of late. That'll change the complexion of the team a little bit, because there's also going to have to be some shuffling because we're sitting at our current roster limits. So
yeah, stay on the lookout for that, because the Gold Eyes play every other week for 6 games at a time. So get out to a game. It's super fun. On the flip side of a struggling team, there's the Bombers and the Sea Bears that are just dominating. Let's start with the Sea Bears. Elliott's got the jersey on.
I finally got it. So
there you go. Last night, they played the Vancouver Bandits and won 93-84. I think the final score was something in that range.
97? No,
93.
93.
Target score was 93.
Sorry, I forgot. I'm thinking a different game.
All good. And then
I'm watching. I'm following the entire league. It's when every game ends in the target score, it is kind of hard.
Everything's in the 90s. I get it. That moved them to 6-3 and first in the Western Conference. It was a great game. Elliott, I know you were watching it on the broadcast. What were your takeaways from that one?
I think a little bit, you have to say they got a little bit lucky in winning that game. I'm writing the game recap before and obviously after we record this episode. There were so many turnovers, and most of them were unforced. And I hate to throw his name out there because I'm going to get thrown under the bus for this. But just as an example, there was a pass from Simon. He was supposed to be trying to pass into Chad on a post up. Chad had his man was fronting him. So he was trying to throw it over the top. And Simon just threw it right to a Bandit defender. Not even anywhere near Chad. And I will say this, that wasn't the only pass of the night that was bad, but there was lots of times where even my personal 6-man of the year favorite, Jelani Watson-Gale, almost dribbled into two guys or almost kicked it right out of bounds. And so it was a little bit of a sloppy game last night. The Bandits came out hot. Well, they were a little cold, and then they were hot for the second and third quarter because they went into the half up 7. Then they were up 7 at the end of the third quarter. And then Winnipeg had an unreal run to end the game. At one point, it was a 19-0 run before target time. And then I believe it was either MJ Walker or Malcolm DeVivier hit a pull-up jumper to make it a 19-2 run. And then Coach Mike Taylor called timeout to get the game into target score time. So
19-0 run. The Bandits scored 2. Timeout. Whoa.
Yeah,
guys,
it was kind of funny. I actually had to text Connor because the broadcast didn't even say. They were just like, "Oh, we're going to target score time," and so I was so confused. It's like, did somebody foul? Like, but either way, they closed it out. I do want to shout out Glenn Yang. I don't know if he's been reading my articles, but I've been really high on him. But I've been really critical of his play lately, and he's now had 2 out of 3 good games. So
he played great last night.
He had a fantastic game yesterday. I also think you can't forget Teddy Allen because I don't know what it is. At home he can't miss from 3 right now, but he can't make a bucket in the paint.
He is just like just pulling up, just does not even care. And within that 19-0 run, there was like 3 deep threes that were just unbelievable.
Like, his last one over, and to put in perspective, if you want to look it up, you can. But his last 3, and I believe Connor, you tweeted about it, that capped off, or well, at that point, capped off the 13-0. Yeah, to cap off a 13-0 run before a timeout. The 3 from Teddy Allen, you were at the game, Connor. It looked high on my screen.
Yeah.
How high did that ball go? Because that was a rainbow.
Man. Yeah. All of his threes like touch the roof and then come down. Although when he's not hitting his threes, you can tell because the arc does not go as high as when he's hitting.
I will say though, if you do watch it, I want you to remember that Georgi Bajanishvili, the forward for the Bandits who was guarding him, is about 6'11", 7 foot, and Teddy Allen's 6'6". And he does not get the other thing too is Allen does not get a lot of height on his jumper, so he has to put more arc.
Right.
But that was he put that up, and I'm like, okay, I know you want to go 1-on-1, but like, what are we doing here? And then he hit it. I was like, okay, well, I guess this is the night we're having. But they have been playing, other than their game against Edmonton where they got blown out, they have played pretty well, despite some little bit of rocky play. I still think they need to figure it out on the defensive end. If they can figure it out on the defensive end and be consistent there, this team is, I have to say that they're not the most talented team in the league, but they play hard and they have depth.
They've got that grit. You know?
They're building a team the Winnipeg way. They're building a team that the Jets would absolutely salivate over. Anyway, but it's been great. They play as we're recording this on Thursday. They play tomorrow. So when we release on Friday, they are playing this evening against their prairie rival, the Saskatchewan Rattlers. If you haven't gone out to a game, I would so recommend it. I'm hoping if it's a Friday night and against the prairie rival, it should be sold out or close to, because it's going to be an awesome game. Yeah,
the atmosphere, like I think last night I was there. I think I didn't see the official number, but I'm guessing that was the lowest attended game of the year, and the atmosphere was still nuts when they went on like that 19-0 run and into the target score time, and they're like staging a massive comeback and winning the game. The crowd was going insane. So it's a really fun atmosphere. Basketball games always are. And yeah, you should. I'm echoing what Elliott said. You should definitely head out to one.
I'm just glad that there's a team here. You can ask anybody that knows me. I've been a huge basketball fan. I'm just so happy there's a team. I didn't even care if this team was going to like not make the playoffs or lose a bunch of games. Just watching basketball in my hometown is just really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I agree.
And the city's loved it. So
yeah, I haven't had a chance to actually get to a game yet, as Connor knows. I live at the ballpark, effectively.
Yeah.
So I, at some point or another, the schedules are going to work out because it always seems like they're home when the Gold Eyes are home.
Yeah.
And the three of us are going to get to a game.
Oh yeah.
We're going to do a level flight basketball special
Cameo.
edition.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And then the last team, the Bombers, they're still awesome. Like they're
Elite.
2-0. Yeah, they play tonight. When this episode comes out, they will have demolished BC. I'm calling it now. But
I
they
really
play
hope
tonight.
that doesn't age poorly because, man.
Oh,
that
it'll age beautifully. It's the Bombers.
I know that.
I did hear that
just what
somebody
they do.
picked them to lose this evening's game, though.
Oh, I did because
I did read somebody's article on their specific website that said that they were going to lose this game tonight.
Yeah, no, I did because I said they had to lose a game without Kenny Lawler. That was my reasoning. And I said there's no way they go undefeated without him. And then they go and put up 40 what was it 49 on Hamilton and like 47 on Saskatchewan.
And they dominated Saskatchewan in the second half.
Yeah.
Like it was even close.
The Bombers are still a wagon. If I could have that pick back, Elliott, I definitely would. It's based on
it's your own website. You could go back and edit it. You could go back and edit it.
I might. But now it's out there that
horrible journalistic integrity.
Yeah. I don't make bad takes. I just change them later. No, but
put that on a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I am printing that right now. Give me
a
second.
No, if I could change that pick, I would, because the Bombers have looked phenomenal the first 2 weeks, and they're at home. This is the game of the week. Both teams are 2-0. It's going to be great. Vernon Adams has been great for BC, and yeah, I don't have to tell you to go to Bomber games because ticket sales are great for them. Everyone loves the Bombers. It's like
they never not like put up good attendance numbers, but this is a football.
They've also won 2 of the last 3 Grey Cups and have gone to the West Final multiple times. Like they're
winning does that.
Winning does that, yeah.
I wonder what franchise could take that from another one in this city, but it's fine. We don't have to go there.
The Jets. Yeah, but the Bombers are again great. This is not groundbreaking analysis. Like they're going to be good.
They are the best team in the CFL, and that's not groundbreaking analysis, unfortunately. As much as I want that to be a hot take, it is probably the coldest take that you could have in the last 4 seasons.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and that's about all I've got from the Bombers. Unless you guys have anything else on summer sports, I think we're ready to roll.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say, coming up this week, I realized I didn't say this in my little Gold Eyes spiel. Coming up this week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, open up a 3-game series against the Gary South Shore Railcats. Come check that out. It's supposed to be, they're the first time they're visiting him in his
Greg Taggart revenge.
Has he gone back to Gary South Shore yet?
They opened the season there.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah,
that is correct.
And he got his number retired and everything. So,
thanks.
But go. You can get tickets at goldeyes.com/tickets. And then coming up after that, they're on the road for about a week and a half. But second week of July, they're back. You got Retro Night coming up there. You got things coming up later in the month like Ukrainian Night. But no, check out goldeyes.com/tickets for more on that. And then you can also find their promotional schedule on their website. Yes, Elliott,
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
When's Reggie Abercrombie jersey retirement night?
August 11th.
Perfect. Thank you. That should be the night that
it'll
everybody's
be in
there.
The building.
I have a photo with him. I can pull it up next pod if we want.
100%. But yeah, and then there's also a bobblehead that night of Reg.
Yes.
So, but no, we're looking forward to having Reggie on to actually on the field again. To celebrate his jersey getting raised up against the booth there and in Shaw Park. But yeah, come on down to Shaw Park this summer, support the Gold Eyes. The fan support helps. They're in a little bit of a rut right now, but they've told me themselves that they love, they get a little bit of a push when they get those big crowd nights. So come on down and support the team. This is their 30th season, and We're celebrating those players, from maybe your childhood or your past. Maybe you went to games in the 90s and the mid 2000s, whatever. We're celebrating those players all season long as well. So come check that out.
Yeah, you'll hear Brian's voice talking
I didn't
about
want to
those
say
players.
that because
Yeah.
that's
I
my
didn't
baby,
realize it
but-
was you the first.
Yeah.
I watched the first one, didn't realize it was only till the second video. I can't remember. You said something that was like, wait a minute, that's Brian. And then I had to go back and listen to the first one. And went, how did I miss that?
Yeah, if you hear a video on Instagram or something, start with, today we're looking at Goldeyes outfielder. It's me.
Yeah, there you go. And if you're at the ballpark, you will also
you hear
hear
it.
Brian's voice there. There you go.
Cheer away.
Yeah. So we are here doing this episode today to preview the draft. But before we do that, we're going to hear from our sponsor, DraftKings. Brian is here today to do our ad read,
You
as
bet.
he always does. So, Brian, take it away.
All right. So, there's various different sports going on, but
Mhm.
right now you got things, like the MLB, you got different things that you can, check out on DraftKings Sportsbook. So new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. Just bet $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER in Massachusetts. Call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. In West Virginia, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. All games are regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In partnership with the Hollywood Casino and Charlestown Races. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. One boost per eligible game, opt-in required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms.
Boom.
Boom.
Crushed it all in one take, just like that.
I ran out of breath in the middle of that.
Let's take a deep breath and then run it back.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the draft. I mean, there's obviously Connor Bedard, right? We talked about Connor Bedard a few episodes ago. Elliott and I agreed that we wouldn't even trade Austin Matthews for that first overall pick. Like, obviously, we think and everyone thinks he's going to be a true superstar in the NHL. Will that happen year one? I don't think so. I don't think it'll be like you'll come out the gate scoring 60 goals and breaking, or 78 and breaking Solani's record. That's not going to happen.
Touching that record.
Yeah, no one is. You're right. But he's going to be great. It might just take a year or two, but everyone knows it. The talent's there. We've talked about him at length already. I want to talk about the other names at the top of this class that are in that top 5, top 6 range. And let's start with maybe the biggest wild card in the entire draft in Matvei Michkov, who most people have ranked as the second best player in this class. Like, he is so talented over there in Russia, putting up unreal numbers, but he's under contract for 3 more years. So if you're drafting him, you are not seeing him in the NHL until he's 21. Or at 21 years old, he signs another contract in Russia and you're not seeing him until he's 24 or at all or ever. Like, you're really rolling the dice there. But everyone thinks he's the second best player in this class. It's just a matter of, are you willing to take the risk and wait the 3 years? So no one really knows where he's going to go. A lot of people are mocking him 8th to the Washington Capitals. But Jeff Merrick on 32 Thoughts yesterday said, don't be shocked if Anaheim takes him at number 2. And I kind of was shocked at that because everyone's had Adam Fantilli pinned there. And then obviously you've got Columbus, you've got San Jose. They could take a shot on Michkov. But if you guys had to guess right now, who do you think the teams in the top 8, let's say? I don't think he slides past that. But who do you think is most likely to take a shot and wait for what has been labeled as generational talent? Like, if he was coming out right now, a lot of people said he could be rivaling Bedard for number 1. Elliott, I'll start with you.
I think that he goes as we've seen him mocked so many times for the Sharks.
Yeah.
If you're the Ducks, I don't think you take somebody that's maybe to come over to the NHL. You already have a young core. You already have tons of prospects. I understand they want to add to that prospect pool, but that team is getting better as we speak. They want to add to that pool to keep building up that potential for that squad. So I don't think that, as much as I think Michkov is good, I just don't think that he's the best fit for Anaheim for where their roster sits. Same with Columbus. Columbus already has two superstars in Patrick Laine and Johnny Gaudreau. They need to build their prospect cupboard, but they need guys to help them in the next couple years, and get acclimated to the NHL game quicker, rather than Michkov wait 3 years and then hope he comes over. That's where I think a team like San Jose has all the opportunities to take a shot on him, because they're going to be rebuilding for a while. They don't need anybody to win at this current moment. Like, they don't need a player to kind of turn the corner in 1 to 2 years. And like, that's where I see, honestly, if Connor Bedard wasn't in this draft, Adam Fantilli probably goes number 1, in my opinion. Like, I think he probably, in most drafts, he probably goes number 1. And that's a guy that the Ducks should draft at 2. And he will obviously he'll finish out his next year at Michigan, because we're aware that he's playing at Michigan next year. But the following year, I would assume he gets a chance at an NHL roster spot, right? Michkov doesn't get a chance at an NHL roster spot until he's 21. So 3 seasons from now. Yeah. And obviously the San Jose Sharks could be in a different situation, but knowing the San Jose Sharks are probably going to be in the same situation they are now, maybe a little bit better. So they have, to me, I think they're the best team for Michkov to go to, because they're not in a rush to have him come over.
Yeah, and another thing to back that up is a new GM. Mike Grier,
absolutely.
Brand new GM. Like, you theoretically have some job security there. So you, as the GM, can take a shot on Michkov and wait 3 years, because you know you're not going to get fired next year. If, like, Columbus or like, I know they have a long tenured GM over there, but and also in Anaheim, if you take Michkov and then your team is bad for the next 3 years, you might get fired. And then Michkov comes over. So you'll never see this draft pick, right? Mike Grier, new GM, he might have some job security there. That's a great point. Brian, where do you think Michkov slots in?
See, I had a whole spiel about everything that Elliott just said. But I mean, what I'll just say, what I'll just say about that, because essentially I was going to echo everything that, what Elliott said about the whole, out of all of those teams, and like, cause you said, 8 was where that, that possible thing could, that
Washington.
The Washington pick there.
Right.
I'd be shocked if he, gets anywhere past 6 at Arizona.
Yeah. No.
I don't think he makes it past 4. Like, I think if it's not the Sharks, it's somebody higher, but I don't think those other teams should take him. I think the Sharks are the best team for him, and I think they are the most likely team to take him.
Yeah, like for me, I feel like I'm looking at all these picks, and it's like the Sharks are most likely. I can't see Montreal taking a shot on that.
No,
because they seem also convinced that they're closer than they are.
Yeah.
I think Arizona.
What makes you think that, Brian? Is it
I don't know, just
numerous Habs fans on Twitter that keep sending these awful mocks for Dubois and think
how about Christian Dvorak in a second?
I'd leap at that, honestly. That's a great deal.
But no, like,
anyways, carry on.
I could see Arizona possibly if he falls to 6, because let's be real, Arizona's not all that close either. And like, there's a lot of uncertainty with the team itself. So why not take someone that might be a little uncertain? Because let's be real, it's not like they're a pillar of stability. So, and then at that point, if he makes it past, 6, I think anyone there would be happy to take him.
Yeah. I think Philly as well, who's 7. If they're tearing it down, like they say,
Briere is open for business.
If they're tearing it down and making this a multi-year rebuild, they can wait on Michkov. Again, new GM, right? Briere.
Yeah.
So it's I want to believe the Jeff Merrick report. Well, it wasn't really a report. He clarified that it was more a theory than it was a report. Yeah. I want to get behind that, like Anaheim to number 2, because that would just be nuts. Like, on the draft floor, that would be a crazy story. But I agree with you guys. I think the Sharks, I think that's where he goes. New GM, it just makes sense. They're going to be in a multi-year rebuild. It's too big of a risk to take him at 2, because if you never see a second overall pick, that's bad. Like, that's a fireable offense if you're a GM, right? So
are you sure? We've seen some pretty egregious offenses over here, and he's been praised for it. So I don't know if
depends on the GM.
Depends on the owner and how the
depends on the
organization
situation.
runs. Yeah,
very much depends on the situation. I agree with you, Elliott. Adam Fantilli is as solid of a prospect as you can get. And if Connor Bedard wasn't in this draft, Fantilli
he's as
would be
can't
the one
miss
getting
as
praised.
like it can get.
So
if you're not Connor Bedard,
good Michigan man.
If you're the Ducks, I think you've got to go Fantilli, and then
I've got
the centers and then Michkov.
Yeah. I've got, because that's the thing. Like, you got Leo Carlson in there.
Yeah.
I think there's a consideration from Columbus to swoop in and take him 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's
either Carlson or Smith, Will Smith.
I could even honestly see with the way that
I loved him in Fresh Prince.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, put up a lot of numbers.
The basketball scenes. Yeah. Either way, Leo Carlson, I think, is also. I know that most mocks have him at 3 because Fantilli is like the number 2, and I would go with Fantilli.
Right.
I also wouldn't put it past the Ducks to go for a Leo Carlson. I don't know.
He's real good.
But Fantilli is an offensive like juggernaut, right? Like he's a guy that needs the puck on his stick. He's puck dominant and really good on that end, like in the offensive zone. The thing that puts me in a place that I think Carlson should be considered for 2, I don't think he should go 2, is that he is a really good 2-way forward. And we've seen it at a professional level. Yeah. And the best part is yes, I know we just talked about Michkov and Fantilli being able to play earlier. Carlson can play even earlier because he can even be playing as of this upcoming season. So for the Ducks, you go, okay, you got another super talented, now a 2-way center, and he can play this year and go down to the AHL if we need him to, or we can send him back to Sweden. Right? Like that's where I think the Ducks are probably considering. Realistically, I see the Ducks as the quote unquote number 1 overall, having the number 1 overall pick. They control how the rest of the draft.
Just like
that is kind of you might as well just don't even announce the first overall pick. Just send Bedard to Chicago. It's not even a question. Yeah. But the way that the draft goes, I would probably even say the rest of the top 10, and honestly how it'll affect the Jets even at 18, kind of relies on where the Ducks go at 2, and you could kind of put that at 3 with Columbus.
Yeah, I just think it'll be most mocks go Fantilli, Carlson, Michkov, Smith.
Yeah,
that's that,
or some combination of that.
Right. So
it's those 4, but it just depends. Or sorry, did you say 3 names? Or you said 3. Either way, it's that combination. But I think at least the Ducks should think about Leo Carlson. Do I think they should go with Fantilli? Absolutely. But I think Carlson should at least be in the conversation just because of his ability on both ends of the ice.
6'3", 200-pound center. Like that's teams watching the playoffs and completely misinterpreted it, think they need big grit, and he might
Winnipeg Jets fans certainly did.
Need big gritty players. Who won the Conn Smythe again? I'm gonna keep asking that. Anyways, let's move into the Winnipeg Jets because they pick at 18. Yeah. This is, like we've said, prime spot for the Jets. They love picking here, right in the middle of the pack.
Did you get good value?
They love this spot. Well, at this spot, I will say, and we're going to talk about some names here. At 18, there's always a player that slides, a player that everyone has ranked in and around their top 10. Everyone has them ranked 8. Everyone has them ranked 10. And it's like, wow, how did this guy slide to the Jets at 18, right? Does it always turn out that player ends up being the 8th best player in the class? No. But
It's still
there
good
are
value.
rankings. There are rankings that mean something. Like Bob McKenzie has rankings. Those mean something. And if a player slides, like that's good value, right? Oliver Moore is the first name I'm going to bring up because Corey Pronman has mocked Oliver Moore of the U.S. National Development Team program to the Winnipeg Jets multiple times. Often labeled as the best skater in the class, and in the top 10, in and around the top 10 in most rankings, anywhere from 8 to 12. And he's been mocked to the Jets a few times now. Now, Pronman also mocked Zach Benson at 17, who is a top 8 pick in my eyes.
I was gonna say,
right?
there's
Yeah.
no way he drops out of the top 10.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe at this time of year. But Oliver Moore's the first name I'll bring up because if he were to slide and he's on the board and the Jets were to pick him, best skater in the class, great talent, that would be a phenomenal pick. Who else are you guys eyeing? Elliott, I'll start with you. What's another name that you are hoping slides to the Jets and is kind of in that higher tier, end of tier 2, tier 3?
I'd probably even say tier 2 because Connor Bedard's
I'd
probably
say-
in the tier 1. Tier
Right.
2 is like Leo Carlson and Adam Fantilli, Will Smith.
And then
kinda
this is
area.
tier 3.
Tier 3.
I'd say, yeah.
This is a player that when we started talking, actually, this was like early on. I think we had done
Mhm.
like 4 episodes of this podcast. I started looking at draft prospects. We were sitting in just a little story time. We were sitting in class, and I think I was sitting next to Connor, and I was looking at prospects. And I looked at this guy and I said, we need somebody like this. And we've been mocked to him a little bit, but he's actually supposed to go earlier in the draft. And this is kind of where I hope the Jets actually trade up.
Is it a
for him?
6'6" Manitoban?
It is not.
Then we don't need him. We don't need him. You're wrong. You're wrong. They need big grit from Manitoba. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I think we want this guy. This guy's name's Cody Barlow.
I was just kidding. Yes.
Cody Barlow is my favorite player. My favorite player outside of the top like 5 picks. He is my favorite player in that tier 3 section of the draft. He has probably one of the best shots, if not like top 3. I mean, I know you have to put Connor Bedard at 1 and Mitchkov's probably at 2, but I think Barlow has the best shot in the OHL. That's for sure. He put up 46 goals last year. Like he put up 79 points as an 18-year-old and was the captain of the Owen Sound. And he was still only 17 for most of the season. And he was the captain of a team with guys who are on the roster at like 21, 22. Like, especially those junior teams have guys that have been there for a long time be the captain. And I think that says something to a guy's character. But he's not the fast. I know we just talked about Oliver Moore being the best skater. Barlow's still a decent skater. I don't think he's the best. He's not the fastest. He's pretty agile. But man, is he a weapon on the power play. He scores in so many different ways. He scores in front of the net. He scores on tips. You can put him in the slot. He can shoot one-timers. He'll snipe it off the rush. Like, I just think the Jets need somebody that's a little bit bigger in size that can score and doesn't just score along the wall and doesn't just like he's 6'1", 185. Obviously the frame will fill out probably a little bit more. You can probably add 10 pounds to that. But 6'1", let's say 195, and he's 21 years old. I don't think that's a small frame for a hockey player.
Yeah.
Personally. So
Yeah.
I think that for me, he is the pick that I think the Jets should go with if he's available, or if they hear a team is going to draft him, they need to do as much as they can to try to trade up with whoever that may be to get him, because I think not that he's a can't miss prospect. I just think he's the perfect player the Jets need. He's a winger. He's got size. He scores, and he's only 18. So I think that to me, either getting him at 18, getting him at 18 would be a slam dunk pick, in my opinion. That would be absolute fantastic value. If you have to trade up he's been mocked around 12 to 14. If you have to trade up there to get him, or the Jets decide that they want him that badly and they trade up for him, I'll be there on draft night in CLC for the draft party. If that call comes over and they've made a trade, I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah, Scott Wheeler of The Athletic basically described him as having a really high floor, like his shot and kind of that average to above average skating and all around game you mentioned provides a high floor as a prospect. So you kind of know what you're getting by drafting him. Again, a lot of the rankings have him anywhere in that 12 to 16 range. Could he go in the top 10? I don't think so. I don't think there's room for him in the top 10.
No,
But he
but
will
like as soon as 11
he'll be in
comes
the
around,
teens. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, again, another player that could just fall into the Jets' lap. And in my latest mock, actually, I was the one I picked Colby Barlow. I almost messed that up. I picked him as well. For the exact reasons that you mentioned, Elliott, like the high floor thing as well, just screams Winnipeg Jets. Getting a known prospect that is going to be at minimum like a third line middle six contributor at the NHL level.
and that's what they need. They need a middle six winger that scores.
And I think that's what they'll go with. If he falls, that's definitely a likely pick. Brian, what is a name that you'd like to throw out there as if they slide, if they're in that range, who are you looking at?
Firstly, I just want to say Barlow is like high on my list that I will hit the streets celebrating if he's still there. If they don't have to trade up. I'm going to throw a couple names out there just because I sort of scanned through all the various mock drafts and draft rankings, and these are some of the guys that I've seen sort of wind up in that spot. So the one that I saw most recently was I think it's Tom Willander. He's described as the most complete defenseman in the draft,
which I would disagree with. Personally, but
the only thing is though, like he's doing a great job right now overseas against people who are mostly older than him. So what's going to be interesting though with that is, does his game translate as well to the smaller ice, which we'll find out because he's going to Boston University next year.
Right.
So
you'll find that out very quick.
Yeah, so there's that. A name that I've also seen dropped, and man, does this ever fit the Jets profile? A U.S. development team prospect, Gabriel Perreault, who led the development team in goals, assists, and points, and
broke
second,
records.
And second, at the World U18s with 18 points. And, there's also, listen, I'm profiling the Jets here. There's a certain level of American development program and some connection to a former NHLer, because he's the son of former NHLer Yannick Perreault.
There you go.
So there's that. And then one that there's a couple names here that I don't know if either they're there or if it fits the Jets profile. Andrew Cristal from Kelowna. He's slid in several mock drafts recently. And I thought that he was going to be a decently good bet high up. But like the fact though that I've heard him described as a cheat code on the power play. That'd be nice. That'd be nice to have that.
It would be.
And then to satisfy the calls for, a little bit of that grit, someone who's, shown a decent two-way streak in the dub for Vancouver, Honzek. He's going to punish you, but he's fairly good defensively too. So it's not like he's just one of those guys who runs around hitting. So he's like his profile is like a middle six, maybe a second line winger who's going to be able to jar the puck loose, not hurt you defensively. I just don't know if, especially with some of these other guys who might be available, if he'd be the pick to make at that spot.
He's
because that's
6'4", 185, Honzek. So big winger.
Big winger, decent. He's got some, of an offensive streak, but nothing too flashy. The thing that sort of stands out about him is, some of his defensive instincts and the fact that he's gonna, punish you along the walls, which, that's sort of what you're looking at with. So those are some of the names that I was looking at. I figured it'd be good to throw out a couple more names rather than just three. So
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, if you want me to add to that list, I can throw out a couple more. I mean, I have a list here.
Let's do it. Let's keep it going.
Well, first, I want to say on the Honzik pick, to me, I wasn't a huge fan of Honzik. I was kind of, for the Jets anyway, I think he's like a good pick for somebody who's picking late in the first round, like that 25 to 28 range, like a playoff team goes and gets him. Because again, he kind of has that, like, to me, I don't think he's as high of a floor as like a Kobe Barlow. I just don't think his potential is as high as a Barlow. So to me, you want to get, if the Jets obviously they make the playoffs and they're out in the first round, I kind of see teams like that as you're still kind of in like a lottery pick situation. You should be trying to get somebody that has a higher floor or a decently high floor with still pretty high potential. The other name that I was super high on and I kind of had as my quote unquote second option was Braden Yeager from the Moose Jaw Warriors. I was super impressed with his offensive game. You'll probably see some, you're going to see a trend here with my picks. You'll see what I think the Jets should be going after. But I think his shot is really good. His playmaking was quite impressive. His vision is really good. I was pretty astounded by some of the reads he made and some of the passes he made. So I think that's another name. Obviously, if you want to go someone who played close to home, if he's still on the board, he's mocked in around, like, he's been ranked like 13. He's been mocked in around that 12 to 14 range would be Nate Danielson. If you want to go hometown, I went and actually watched a Brandon Wheat Kings game in the middle of the year. He looked okay to me. I don't think he was fantastic. But I think with somebody, I think he has some tools to be like a third line center, but I don't think he's really anything too special. He's a product of having
a two-way, like he plays like what scouts would consider a quiet game. He's like a two-way center that isn't going to like wow you with these crazy moves or skating ability. He just is there in the right spot all the time.
And personally, to me, that's another guy that's a guy that I actually will, and I'll make a prediction right now. I think Danielson's somebody that will slide in the draft and could be available to the Jets because teams that are in and around that 11 to 15 range are wanting somebody that has a little bit of a higher ceiling in terms of potential. A name that Edward Shala is another one that has been mocked to slide because he kind of had an up and down sort of season with sorry, I'm just trying to get the name. Yeah, Kometa Brno in Czechoslovakia. He showed some offensive potential. I think he's a little bit of a bigger forward as well. But I'm kind of I don't know if he slides that far personally, but he's available if I think the Jets could take him as another European.
I'm in on that pick for sure. I think he's like, I don't know. Again, we're just like kind of ruling out Bedard of everything. I don't know if he's like known as a generational passer, but I think Shaw is one of the best passers in this draft, like top 5. Personally, I think that's what his calling card is. Again, could he slide? I'm not really sure, but him and Chris Stahl, I'll also throw out, like, those are names that, again, in the 12 to 16 range, that one of them, it's almost like one of them has to fall. Like, there's a ton of forwards in this 11 to 20 range that are uber talented, and one of them has to slide, right? Another name I'll throw out that I'm really high on is Quentin Musty. He's a big athletic winger that, I don't know, just his production was unreal. If you follow JFresh and you have those little projection cards, his card looks really good because he produced at a high level. And I just really like the prospect. We talked about high floor. I think he has a high floor. Reminds me a little bit of Ricker McGorty with, using his size to drive to the net, stuff like that. But those are the 3 names I'm looking for: Chris Stahl, Shala, and was the name I just said, Musty. Those are the 3 wingers that if one of them slides, that's what I'm looking at.
The other name that I will throw out there, because there were a lot of mocks that had the Jets taking a defenseman, which I don't think they should do, but for some reason there were lots of mocks going defense. The name that I would like to see the Jets take, there was another name, I'm not going to mention it because it was a left-handed D and they have too many of those, was Lucas Dragovic. Right-handed D, played pretty decent in the dub for the Tri-City Americans. If they were going to go defense, that would be the pick I'd hope they'd go with. But I think with this, I was talking to Connor before the episode started, this is a forward-heavy draft. Do not reach on a defenseman if it's not just sitting in your lap.
Yeah.
Like if for some reason, like an Axel Sandin Pelika is just sitting there, because obviously I don't think David Reinbacher falls that far, but if Pelika is just sitting there, okay, fine. Take Pelika because he's BPA.
Yeah.
But other than that, you need to take a forward here because this is a forward class. I hate the mocks that are just based on positional need, and I get the Jets need defensive prospects, but they need
Best
right
player available.
Yes,
Yeah.
they need either need to go BPA, or if BPA is a forward that they're not huge on, and like the third best player is a Dragovic who's a right-handed D, fine, take Dragovic because yes, he's positional need, but he's still up and around that BPA.
That's where my reasoning comes from. Is I think they need to take a forward because I think they need to take best player available, and I'm willing to say right now, unless David Reinbacher slides, which he won't, I think he's going to go in the top 7.
Yeah.
The best player available is going to be a forward.
Yeah.
Like that's almost a lock because if you look at every rankings list in the range that we're talking about from 8 to 16, every single player is a forward. Like Sandin Piccola's in there. I think the Canucks are going to take a defenseman, whether it's Willander or Pelika. Sorry. I think that's the pick there, but odds are it's going to be a forward. That's the best player available. And yes, the Jets need defensive prospects. Hanel is starting to get older. Sandberg now graduated. Chisholm's starting to get older. But I think you need to just take the best player available as a small market team, right? You need these value on these entry level contracts, and getting a forward that was supposed to go top 10 or supposed to go in that 10 to 11 range and slid to you at 18. I think that's the best way to go about business at the draft.
Absolutely.
And there's also an argument to be made. Like we talked about it a few weeks ago, whether or not the Jets are going to be picking more than once in the first round, right? The first domino hasn't fallen yet, right? There haven't been any trades. They only have the one pick at 18. Are they going to trade like they did last year and pick up the 30th pick, like something super late? Time will tell. But if they have another pick, or they're looking to trade up, or Montreal gives them number 5 for Pierre-Luc Dubois, I don't know if that's realistic, but
I don't think
a
that's
thought.
realistic anymore.
No.
The train's slowly dying over on PLD to Montreal.
But like people say this is one of the best draft classes in recent years, and it's not just because of Connor Bedard. Like obviously Bedard is a generational talent. He's going to be amazing, but this is also a deep draft, especially at forward. And at 18, the best player available is going to be a forward. So that's where I stand on it. I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts, but we covered a lot of players there.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of philosophies, a lot of situations.
I hope that the Jets take BPA. I think that's my last.
That's what
thought.
I'm hoping to.
That's my last real thought, because I know they're in a position here to where, they're like, realistically, if they trade, let's say a PLD or a Connor Hellebuck or a Scheifele or whatever, and they package it with picks or other prospects and they move up, okay. But I'm with you, Connor. I think they pick more than once. But I'm hoping that first pick is at least, if you want to reach, let's say they pick then at 27 or something, and they do exactly what they did last year, and they trade for a 30 to 27 to 30, somewhere in there. Fine. If you want to reach on a defenseman at that point, go ahead.
That's when you take a swing, like Brad Lambert. That's when you take a player that has slid, has all the talent in the world, and you really like as a prospect. Boom.
Or you even reach for somebody you like, even if he's not at that point. But I hope that the Jets kind of make a turn here, because I've started to notice a pattern of them. I wanted to make this mention on the pod because we didn't talk about it last week. We talked about mock trades, just to end the episode. I've started to notice what the management is doing, and I know you guys may laugh here a little bit. So they're telling everybody they're not tanking, but what's the first thing that they start shopping?
Connor Hellebuck.
All the best players on the team.
Yeah.
So I want to make this known, and I'm sure you guys will second it. The reason that they said they're not tanking is for ticket sales. So that people will buy
100%.
season tickets.
100%.
Then once all the season tickets are bought, then they're going to tank and trade everybody. So then everyone's already bought their tickets for the season. They've made their quota. The Jets finished like second last in the Central and towards the bottom, probably 13th in the Western Conference. They're one of the worst teams in the league. Then they pick high in the draft, and then the rebuild starts. But oh wait, they're going to keep telling you that they're not tanking because they want people to buy
impact
tickets.
Players who can help them win now.
Yep.
Win now.
And so this, I don't know what kind of veil they're trying to pull over everyone's eyes here.
It's a bad
Jets,
one.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. Jets fans aren't stupid.
We've said that many times on the
This isn't
podcast.
1985 where you get one little article about like news and rumors in the paper. There are many different sources and many different analysts out there that talk about all the teams and what's going on. You can't hide from social media anymore.
Yeah.
There's no reason to lie to the media and to fans.
I also know of a lot of Jets fans.
Just say you're tanking if you have to tank. And honestly, Jets fans won't be mad.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I know a lot of Jets fans that would prefer them to rebuild. They actually want to see a younger team come in, and they want to watch Brad Lambert in the NHL next year. And they don't want to.
And it's not that I don't want to watch like Mark Scheifele on the Jets. It's just because I don't think this roster is in win now mode. So what do you do in sports when you're not in win now mode? You
stay
either
in the middle. Pick at 18.
If you're a Jets,
18 every year.
Name another team in any other sport that does that, because there's lots of them. The Sacramento Kings before this year were another team like that were just in constant mediocrity. But the point I'm trying to make is if you're not mediocre just because you have like a young team, it means that if you're mediocre and you have an older team or a like in the middle of your prime team, it means you need to shake things up. And that's the point I'm trying to make. This team is at the point where they need to shake things up, and they're at a point where this is probably the highest value you're probably going to get for someone like Connor Hellebuck. Probably the highest. Well, it's the only value you're going to get anymore for guys like PLD and Mark Scheifele. So you need to get some value out of them and do something with them. And unfortunately, if you have to tank and you don't sell out the building every night for a season or two, fans would much rather be happy with that. And then down the road in 3 seasons, we go on a playoff run, or we have a super fun young team that gets people in the building and butts in seats. Like I know I'm wearing the jersey today, but why do you think that fans want to come and watch Seabears games? Not just because they're winning, but they play fun basketball. And honestly, their best player is 24. Sorry, 2 of their best players are 24. They're young. And you know what? If they don't end up in, I think Teddy Allen should get another shot in the G League because he has played in Summer League. And E.J. Anasike will probably get another shot. But if they don't get shots in the NBA, they seem to like it here. Because yes, they're winning, but they're young and they're developing a culture and a team here of winning and of grinding, and they're trying to build from the bottom. And I think the Jets need to, they were, this is the ultimate peak. Let's say this is where the Vegas Golden Knights are, right? The Jets were about here with their Western Conference run. They're now down here. This is rock bottom. This is where like Arizona is, and like
the Western Conference run, which was 6 years ago.
And that's where they were here before. This is the peak. They were here at that point. They're now down here. Yeah. You need to go to ground zero and build back up.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there.
Yep.
And it starts with the draft.
It does. It does start with the draft, which is next Wednesday, the 28th. Just a little scheduling note. I think we are going to try and record the next morning and kind of talk about who the Jets picked, because maybe they pick once, maybe they pick twice, but regardless, we're recording Thursday morning this week. We'll try and record Thursday morning next week. The Jets don't have a second round pick, so they won't be picking until the third round on Thursday.
As far as we know,
they could acquire one, of course. But yeah, unless we have anything else, I think we're good to get out of here. Draft is in a week. It's the best time of year for Jets fans because get some hope in the prospect pool.
Because it's the only time the Jets actually seem to make good decisions.
Let's get some hope. Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot of news that should be happening in the next week. So stay on the lookout, because next thing we know, Connor Hellebuyck could be traded tomorrow, or
That
Pierre
train
Luc
is
could be traded
quickly
tomorrow.
picking up steam.
So
Well,
Yeah.
Mark Scheifele and PLD is slowly churning out. So
I don't know. We'll see. I think something's gonna happen before the draft, so stay on the lookout if we do record. Thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a fun one. We love draft stuff. And yeah, I think that's all from me. I'll say go Bombers.
Go Gold Eyes.
go Seabears.
Let's go.